The Paul Walker Chronicles and the story behind his demise. Walker was born on September 12, 1973, in Glendale, California. His mother, Cheryl, née Crabtree, was a fashion model, and his father, Paul William Walker III, was a sewer contractor and former amateur boxer, who was a two-time Golden Gloves champion. Walker's paternal grandfather, William, had a short-lived boxing career as Irish Billy Walker, while another raced factory cars for Ford in the 1960s. Raised as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Walker had four younger siblings, Amy, Ashley, Caleb, and Cody. He spent the majority of his early life in the Sunland neighborhood of Los Angeles, and graduated from Village Christian School in 1991. Walker subsequently attended several community colleges in Southern California, majoring in marine biology. Walker began a modeling career as a toddler, starring in a television commercial for Pampers at age 2. He continued to appear in commercials, most notably for Showbiz Pizza in 1984, before beginning an acting career on television that year, appearing in the teen anthology series CBS School Break Special. Walker continued to work in television until 1996, across a number of genres. He appeared in 2 episodes of the fantasy drama Highway to Heaven between 1984 and 1986, and secured his first leading role in 1987, appearing as Jeremy Beatty in the sitcom Throb. He continued to feature on sitcoms in the early 1990s, with guest roles in Charles in Charge, Who's the Boss, and the short-lived What a Dummy. In 1993, he portrayed Brandon Collins on the soap opera The Young and the Restless. He and co-star Heather Tom, who played Victoria Newman, gained fame, and were nominated for Outstanding Lead Actor and Actress in a Soap Opera at the Youth in Film Awards. Walker's final television role was on Touched by an Angel, although he appeared as himself, alongside his sister Ashley, as contestants on a 1988 episode of the game show I'm Telling, in which they finished in second place. Walker began his film career in 1986, appearing mainly in low-budget B-films. His first role was in the horror comedy Monster in the Closet, and a year later, starred in The Retaliator, retroactively subtitled Program to Kill, a science fiction film. In 1994, he returned to film, starring in Tammy in the T-Rex, but secured his first feature film role in the comedy Meet the Deedles in 1998. Although commercially and critically unsuccessful, it allowed Walker to secure supporting roles in the films Pleasantville, 1998, Varsity Blues, 1999, She's All That, 1999, and The Skulls, 2000. In 2001, Walker's breakthrough role was starring opposite Vin Diesel in the action film The Fast and the Furious. It was commercially successful, and subsequently launched a media franchise. The film also established Walker as a film star and leading man, as his performance garnered the MTV Movie Award for Best On-Screen Team, shared with Diesel, in 2002. Walker starred in the critically successful thriller Joy Ride, 2001, also focusing on car-related action, and reprised his role as Brian O'Connor in the 2003 sequel Too Fast, Too Furious. After this, he starred either in low-budget or commercially unsuccessful films for a time, notably Timeline, 2003, and Into the Blue, 2005. Walker portrayed Hank Hansen in Clint Eastwood's war film Flags of Our Fathers, 2006, and starred in the survival drama 8 Below, both released in 2006. 8 Below garnered critical acclaim and opened in first place at the box office, grossing over $20 million during its opening weekend. Walker then starred in the independent film The Lazarus Project, which was released on DVD on October 21, 2008. Despite initial reluctance, Walker reprised his role as Brian O'Connor after 7 years, in Fast and Furious, 2009. The film became the highest-grossing film in the franchise up until that point. He then reprised his role in the 5th and 6th installments of the franchise, which were commercially successful, while his performances were praised. Walker was nominated for Choice Movie Actor, Action at the 2011 Teen Choice Awards for the former, and nominated for Choice Movie, Chemistry, with Diesel and Dwayne Johnson, and won his second MTV Movie Award for Best On-Screen Duo with Diesel for the latter. Walker also starred in the heist film Takers, 2010, and returned to modeling in 2011, appearing as the face of fragrance brand Cool Water. In 2012, he founded the film production company Laguna Ridge Pictures, which signed a first-look deal with Fast and Furious distributor Universe Pictures. A car enthusiast, Walker competed in the Redline Time Attack racing series in which he raced on the AE Performance team driving a BMW E92 M3. His car was sponsored by Etnies, Brembo Brakes, Öhlins, Voke, OS Geiken, Hankook, Gintani, and Reach Out Worldwide. Walker had been preparing for an auto show prior to his death. Walker owned Always Evolving, a Valencia high-end vehicle performance shop, where Rodas, a Pro-Am racer, acted as CEO. Walker also had a large car collection of about 30 cars, a portion of which he co-owned along with Rodas. His collection was constantly changing as new cars were acquired and old cars were sold, usually for quite a hefty profit. Paul actually had a dealer's license and owned a business that manufactured high-end performance parts and exhaust pipes. His garage was maintained as an active showroom at all times, partly in case a buyer happened to pass through and partly because Paul considered his cars functional pieces of art. His collection included extremely valuable Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Corvettes, Porsches as well as dozens of vintage cars. Here are a few more specific cars in Paul Walker's car collection. 5 BMW M3 E36 lightweights. BMW 74 2002 Touring. Ford Escort Cosworth, this is the car that Paul drove in Fast and Furious 6. Ford Mustang Boss 302 race car. Ford GT. Ferrari 360 Challenge Stradale. Ferrari Testarossa. Ferrari F355 Spider. Porsche 911 Turbo. Celine S7. Walker has a daughter, Meadow Rain, with ex-girlfriend Rebecca McBrain. In his will, Walker left his $25 million estate to Meadow and requested that his mother become her legal guardian. On November 30, 2013, at about 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Walker, 40, and Roger Rodas, 38, left an event for Walker's charity Reach Out Worldwide for victims of Typhoon Haiyan, with Rodas driving his red 2005 Porsche Carrera GT traveling between 80 miles per hour, 130 kilometers per hour, and 93 miles per hour, 150 kilometers per hour, in a 45 miles per hour, 72 kilometers per hour, speed zone on Hercules Street in Valencia, a neighborhood of Santa Clarita, California. Rodas lost control of the car and crashed into a concrete lamp post and two trees off the road, catching fire within seconds after impact. According to forensic evidence gathered from the scene, both men were knocked out by the impact. Rodas died instantly from multiple physical trauma while Walker died within seconds from the combined effects of physical trauma and burns. Both of their bodies were burned beyond recognition. The curve where Walker and Rodas died is a popular spot for drifting cars. No alcohol or other drugs were found in either man's system, and neither mechanical failure nor road conditions appeared to play a role. Police found no evidence of drag racing. The investigation concluded that the car's speed and age of the tires were the primary reasons for the crash. Numerous friends and movie stars posted tributes to Walker on social media. His body was cremated and his ashes were buried in a non-denominational ceremony at Forest Lawn Memorial Park. His life was later chronicled in the documentary I Am Paul Walker, which was released on August 11, 2018. Paul Walker's Furious 7 scenes were able to be finished following the actor's death thanks to some help from his family and CGI work. Eventually, they decided to continue on in the wake of Walker's passing, and the movie went on to become a massive box office success, grossing over $1.5 billion in theaters worldwide, via Box Office Mojo, in addition to earning widespread acclaim for the touching and tasteful way it retires Brian. In order to both finish the film and give Paul Walker's Fast and Furious character a fitting conclusion to his personal journey, the Fast and Furious 7 production team, including screenwriter Chris Morgan, director James Wan, and their many VFX artists, had to think decidedly outside the box. After Brian O'Connor's storyline in Furious 7 was rewritten, including the new tribute to Paul Walker, the film's crew set about the task of producing some 350 additional shots of Walker to flesh out his role in the movie, 90 of which used archived footage of the actor from previous outtakes or shots from earlier Fast and Furious films, which were then relit and repurposed. The other 260 shots were completed by having Paul's brothers, Caleb and Cody, perform his scenes in character, then replacing their faces with CGI versions of Paul in post-production. As Weta VFX supervisor Joe Letteri explained in 2015, via THR, the Fast and Furious 7 effects team created the CGI replacement for Paul Walker's face by first scanning his brothers to use them as a point of reference. In the end, the Furious 7 filmmakers ended up using older footage of Walker as a reference the most, because as close as the brothers were in style and mannerisms, they just weren't Paul when Paul played his character, according to Letteri. Complicating matters, many of these shots included dialogue, which the movie's sound editors had to create by drawing from existing dialogue previously recorded by Walker. Letteri also touched on the process of crafting Walker's CGI face and how the film's VFX artists had to be extra careful to prevent the effect from landing somewhere in the uncanny valley. While the final result wasn't flawless, it was nevertheless very impressive, considering the major obstacles the movie's VFX artists had to overcome. It all culminated in the Furious 7 ending, where Dom and Brian have one final race, but are far more invested in simply enjoying their time riding together before reaching a fork in the road and heading off in separate directions. It is an emotional moment of the movie nearly breaking the fourth wall in a touching tribute to the late co-star. While the moment provided a lovely send-off for Walker's O'Connor, F9 featured a non-visual cameo of the character. The remaining movies have Brian O'Connor living his best life off-screen looking after the kids, and the team retired him to protect his family. Killing his character would have felt insensitive considering that Walker passed away in a car accident, so keeping his character alive is a great way to honor the actor without recasting or over-relying on tasteless CGI. In F9, Brian's looking after Dom's son, too, and he's become a really useful narrative tool for keeping important characters safe off-screen. Richard Taylor, a worker at a warehouse where Walker stored more than 30 of his cars, stole and hid the vehicles. Paul's estate claimed that Taylor removed more than 30 of the late actor's cars from their warehouse only hours after his death, including a 2011 Porsche 911 GT3 RS, a 2008 BMW M3, and many more, in a move that can be charitably described as audacious. Walker's estate used different words when they sued Taylor in 2015, alleging that after moving 31 of Paul Walker's cars to locations unknown, he provided the estate with what he called a Paul Walker current car inventory list, comprised of 32 cars. The suit said that there were 7 cars known to have been part of Walker's collection that were missing from the list, and that they were to be returned ASAP. The following year, the lawsuit between the Walker estate and Taylor was settled amicably, according to one of the estate's attorneys, with some or all of the cars being returned to the estate, but the precise terms of the settlement were and remain confidential. Unfortunately, that wasn't the only lawsuit filed by Paul Walker's family regarding his car collection. In 2014, Paul Walker III, Walker's father, filed suit against the estate of Roger Rodas, the late friend of Paul's who was driving the car when the crash that killed both of them occurred. Later, in 2016, a reported settlement was reached in this case as well, with $10.1 million being paid into a trust for Walker's then 17-year-old daughter Meadow. In January 2020, 21 of Paul's cars and motorcycles were auctioned by Barrett Jackson in Scottsdale, Arizona. In the end, those 21 vehicles sold for $2,333,450. One of Paul's BMW M3 lightweights earned the auction's highest price of $385,000. The other 4 sold for between $220,000 and $260,000. All proceeds from the auction went to a trust that belongs to his daughter Meadow, who apparently used some of the money to fund the Paul Walker Foundation, which provides scholarships to students looking to study marine science. Meadow also kept several cars from the collection for herself. Since Paul's death, Meadow has done her best to keep her father's memory alive. She established the Paul Walker Foundation to follow in her father's charitable footsteps. Reflecting on my father, I found myself reflecting on his passions, his passion for helping people, and his passion for spontaneous goodwill, Meadow said of her reasoning behind starting the foundation. In 2021, Meadow wed Louis Thornton Allen, and Paul's BFF and Fast and Furious co-star, Vin Diesel, walked her down the aisle. Paul Walker's life serves as a profound inspiration, transcending his Hollywood fame. Beyond the silver screen, he exemplified genuine compassion and philanthropy. His involvement in charitable efforts, especially through his organization Reach Out Worldwide, showcased a commitment to making a positive impact. Walker's passion for marine biology highlighted a deeper connection to nature, emphasizing the importance of environmental stewardship. His humility and dedication to family and friends reflected values that resonated far beyond his celebrity status. Tragically, his untimely death reminds us of life's fragility, reinforcing the idea that one's legacy isn't just measured by fame but by the lasting imprint of kindness, altruism, and authenticity left in the hearts of those who knew him and those who continue to be inspired by his legacy. Do well to follow, comment, like and subscribe to encourage us to publish more contents like this. From all of us at Didactic Contents, we love you all.